if you position yourself like the globalists did, they knew. The people on the inside, Andrew, they all knew the crash of 1929 was coming. They orchestrated it. They knew. They positioned themselves in the summertime for what was coming in the fall. So what I'm saying here is, if you understand what's coming in the fall, because this is not a guess, God has spoken, a financial makeover is coming in the fall.
An economic makeover. And hands who have dug into the coffers and into the treasure chests of deception, their hands taken out. Look to the fall.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today is September 19th, Wednesday, 2026, and we're back talking about precious metals, silver and gold. For those of you who have been watching our podcast over the years, silver and gold scripturally is written in specific scripture that I repetitively use, and it's Haggai 2, and it says specifically, the silver is mine, the gold is mine, saith the Lord. Now, why I'm saying this is because if you watch my past several interviews, the Lord has been really putting on my heart the importance of Haggai and how it relates to 2026. In Haggai, it actually talks of a very specific date, September 24, 2026, or September 24th. So September is a marker for a huge shift financially. This September is expected to be a September like no other in human history. Now, if I'm right, and I do believe I'm going to be right on this, what that means is you want to position yourself before events go down. And so, Andrew, right now, welcome back to the show. What are you seeing on your end with regards to silver, gold, precious metals?
Well, I'm actually seeing the same thing. So in the last 4 weeks, we've seen silver bottom out from about $54 an ounce. And right now it's just over $66 an ounce. So that's a $12 gain, which is pretty close to a 25% gain in just a month's time, really. And it prompted me to go back and look at historical silver pricing, specifically the last few months of 2025. And it looked like silver really started to take off, to your point, right in September of last year. And I think the same thing's going to happen this year. And really, I base that on the fact that things are starting to subside with the war in Iran. And also, I think it's pretty clear that our new Fed Reserve chairman is really going to keep the same policies that the previous chairman Powell had. And I think that's going to be really good for gold and silver, not so good for the monetary policy here in the United States.
You referenced like wars and what's happening in the Middle East. And what I look at is not so much the events of the world, because when I look at charts and cycles, what it really brings forth more so is the patterns that are being created on the charts. I want to show a chart here that I find rather interesting. I made this morning. When you look at this chart here, typically what the markets will do is they will make a bottom. Solid bottom is when it comes in on a triplicate. So you'll see one bottom come in, another, and then the third, and then things begin to move vertical. Well, if you look at silver, Remember, Andrew, we talked about, when you look on the far left of that screen, we saw silver run from like $48 in November of last year. And then look what it did from the end of November. December, it blew through $50 and then went through 70, and it ran like crazy in like 3 weeks. So from the end of November last year, where it was $48, it over doubled in price. It went up to $121 from $48 the end of November. What I'm trying to show here is what silver can do. It is the most exciting metal I've ever seen. It's one of the most exciting charts I've ever seen, because when silver goes, I've studied the history of it. When it finally goes, it's so fun to watch. And it changes things that are going on in the world. What happened last year? Everybody was focused on silver. Why? Because no one's ever seen it blow through $50 and go up to 3 digits. We've been waiting for 3-digit silver forever. And this is the point I want to bring up with regards to silver in January of this year. When it started accelerating from 70, 80, 90, 100, Andrew's phone was blowing up. And here's the problem. People are chasing something. When you chase something, you're going to be paying high prices. On the other side of it, those that listen to us and were positioning themselves at $20, $30 silver just enjoyed the ride vertical. So what I'm showing right now on this chart, this is important to understand what everybody's looking at. I don't know whether you understand charts or not. I try to make this very simple for you. And understand a chart will typically create triple bottoms, okay? So we had a bottom form at the 3rd week of June. We had another bottom form at the middle of July, and then a third bottom form right around the end of July. That's a triple bottom. And since then, like Andrew was saying, that was in the $56, $55 range. And as we speak, it's about $10 to $12 higher, which means that you're already beginning to see higher prices. And we're not even in September, okay? So the point I'm making is many people were reaching out to Andrew and they were buying silver at 3 digits. A lot of people who chased it bought silver at $100, $90, expand upon trying to get a hold of you, trying to chase a market because they thought it was going to get away from them, only to find out that the bankers smash it back down again. And so now we're waiting for an act of God, which I believe September is going to be like no other. And so when something happens here, we're going to see silver. The chart patterns are indicating we're only going up, okay? So what I'm saying with that, when silver goes up, it's going to be a move of biblical proportions. And the prophecy is, this is important. When a volcano erupts, and Kim Clement had a prophecy about the 2 E's, earthquakes and eruptions, okay? Raise your hand, everybody, if you've been seeing earthquakes. We've been seeing nothing but earthquakes all summer, okay? And so we're seeing the Kim Clement prophecy begin to manifest of earthquakes, and then it's followed by a secondary E, and that's eruptions. And the prophecy is that eruption that's coming, a big eruption that's coming, it's going to also blow the lid off of silver at $121, okay? So whether you're paying, before, if you were fortunate enough to buy silver at $20 to $30, well, right now it's higher, okay? But when it blows through $121, because this is prophecy, this is not Bo's opinion, okay? Bo is simply quoting prophecy that silver is, not might, this is prophecy, not opinion, that silver is going to blow through $121 and never look back. When that event happens, you're not going to care if you bought silver at $20, $30, or if you're loading up right now at $65. But the point is, you're not going to see $20 silver again. Those days are gone with. But on the other end of it, Andrew, if someone bought silver from you today at, say, $65 as an example, since that's the going price, there's always spreads in that, so it's going to change. But my point is, they're still not paying $121. Technically, they're getting silver at roughly 50% off right now from where it was in January. Go ahead, expand upon all that.
It's really, really undervalued. It truly is. It's like silver is being used in so many industrial items like solar panels. It's powering silver is a conduit that works in the batteries that power the data centers, which allow AI to work. And AI is still in its infancy right now. It's just getting started compared to where it will be 10, 15, 20 years from now. So this silver is being consumed. Silver really should be north of $100 an ounce. It was earlier this year that Bank of America said that silver would finish 2026 somewhere between $135 an ounce. It was $135 an ounce and $309 an ounce on the high end. And I still think we could finish this year off at well over $100 an ounce. It was this time last year when silver really started to blast off. So I'm personally out there making calls to clients of ours and getting them to exchange part of their gold to get more silver, because it's so apparent what's happening that I just want to yell it from the treetops and just tell people this is a great opportunity for you. But when we were talking over the previous years, when silver was $20 to $30 an ounce, we were just saying we want silver to break $50 an ounce. And once it breaks 50 an ounce, that's when the big banks can't control silver price anymore. And who knows what could happen after that. We speculated where it could be, but all that happened. I'm just telling people that if you get silver today, it was $121 an ounce earlier this year. So it's a no-brainer to me that we will see silver over $100 an ounce. If not by the end of this year, it'll be sometime next year. So it's a good opportunity for people, as you say, to get more silver at almost 50% off.
If the banks are saying, like what Andrew's saying, okay, this is not even our opinion now, okay? So the charts are indicating what I'm trying to show everybody with regards to a triple bottom, which is formed, okay? Which means that that's a very solid bottom. And then from there, we should start seeing upwards movement, okay? Bitcoin additionally is creating a similar pattern. The rate I'm saying, and the reason I'm saying this right now, Andrew, with regards to Bitcoin, is today, as we speak, Bitcoin's up nearly $4,000 in a single day. Okay. So what I'm saying is these markets that are opposite the US dollar. Okay. So what's opposite? Silver and gold. Cryptocurrencies. They are an instrument of finance which is opposite the Federal Reserve System. And why I say that is because the Federal Reserve System is they can create this money out of thin air, and they can, we've talked about this, manipulate silver and gold to high heaven, okay? And that's why we're seeing this price manipulation to hold it down. But what's coming is a loss of control, okay? And so when this happens, I'm telling you, the word to prophecy is immediate and imminent, okay? So it's very, very shortly coming upon our world. And again, I'm telling you, I truly believe September is going to be very historic. So with that said, as we are in summer now, we're heading into September, I truly want to emphasize the utmost importance that if you have no silver and no gold, but you have, finance, and you have no precious metals, you truly don't understand finance, because history is showing that whenever there's a financial calamity, the world always immediately transfers and shifts over to silver and gold. That's been history for thousands of years. That's the only money that's been money for thousands of years. So understand something big and epic is coming. And when the shift happens, you're going to be dancing from the rooftops that you're positioned in silver and gold. There are people right now that have gold, maybe not a lot of silver. Like Andrew's saying, this is where I personally look at ratios, okay? So when I look at a ratio, it means you take the price of gold and you take the price of silver and you divide it. Right before the podcast, Andrew and I just ran the math on it. And if you take the price of gold divided by the price of silver, it's like just under 4,500 on gold divided by 65 on silver. That puts a ratio right around $70. I'm sorry, a ratio right around 70. So the ratio is a ratio of 70. Now, here's the huge advantage and the discrepancy. This is important. Discrepancy is a key word here, because when you run the ratios, you go back historically, thousands of years, okay? Ratios, typically gold to silver, are somewhere in the vicinity of 10 to 15. What that means is they've created an insane amount of money right now to take the ratio up to 70, which is crazy. So with that said, if you sell historically 1 ounce of gold, you should get, in theory, 10 to 15 ounces of silver. But right now, sit back and listen to this, everybody. If you sold an ounce of gold, you're actually getting somewhere in the vicinity of 60 to 70 ounces of silver. That's a ratio that's crazy. And so people, many people say, well, I like gold. Okay. I always, I look at it from this perspective, Andrew. If you like gold, like I like gold too, right? But if I like gold, I buy silver, because silver becomes gold on steroids in a bull market. Now, what will happen is in the future, that ratio will approximate. You'll see the ratio go up to 50, 40, 30, because silver is going to be accelerating. You want an example, everybody? Go look what happened this past January, okay? Silver shot up and it narrowed the ratio down to, I think it was in the 40s. Okay. So if you would swap then as an example, you'd be getting way more gold if you simply swapped out your silver for gold. But what's coming this time around is silver, like in 2011, the ratio hit 30 to 1. Okay. Which is better, but it's still not 15 to 1 or 10 to 1. This time around, this is going to be the greatest bull market in human history. This is what's written in scriptures called the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. What does that mean? It means God intervenes and rips away the wealth from the wicked, from those that control the world, and he gives it to the church, the righteous. And when God intervenes, you're going to see that ratio easily. Just telling you, this is my true opinion. We're going to see that ratio get easily 15, 10 to 1, maybe even higher. Okay. So that would be the time where people will be calling Andrew and say, Andrew will be calling people. Andrew, if the ratio hit 10 to 1, you're going to be doing the exact retro phone call. You're not going to be saying, hey, take your gold and buy. You're going to be saying, hey, the ratio's 10 to 1. It's crazy. You can right now swap out your silver and get 7 times more gold than you would have gotten in August of 2026. So Andrew, we're doing the exact opposite phone calls, but at 70 to 1, the understanding is the ratio is insanely manipulated, which means that this is not personally, from my personal opinion, time to be holding gold. It's okay to hold some, right? But what I'm saying is you want to make sure you're adequately positioned in silver. Andrew, expand upon that and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's all really good stuff. Like ratios actually can let people know when the best time to enter a silver investment would be. And right now is a great time. So just doing the math, at one point last year, and it was in the first part of last year, the silver to gold ratio was 100 to 1. So the way that you could figure that out just generically, let's say gold's $30. Let's say silver's $30 an ounce and gold is $3,000 an ounce. There it is right there. That's 100 to 1. So 100 ounces of silver equals the price of 1 ounce of gold. I did the math for January 30th of this year. On January 30th, that's the day that gold topped out at $5,500 an ounce and silver topped out at $121 an ounce. The ratio on that day was 45.5 to 1. So 45.5 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. That's a great ratio, but we know it could be a lot better. And currently it's at 70 to 1. So where did that other 25 ounces of silver go? I mean, silver got manipulated down to where it's at now, and it won't stay there. The ratio, it holds the key, is where you need to get in. Right now is a great time. And just one other comment. When I wrap up these phone calls with people where I'm making calls to people where, let's say they were 70% silver and 30% gold. I'm calling them and letting them know that silver is basically at a half off discount right now. Let's take all of that 30% of gold or a portion of it and exchange that into silver for a secondary silver position. Your first silver position is what we call the core position. That's one that we're not gonna sell that one. That's our long-term position. But the secondary position is temporarily taking you out of your gold and getting you more silver. This is an aggressive investment. This is one when silver goes over $100 an ounce, we exit that and we get you your gold back. But you're going to get more gold later than you gave up to get that silver. And that's the plan. I end every call with that. So it's a great strategy.
And this is where it's important to understand, those that are involved in this sector. Andrew's been doing this for a long time. And so, I'm just telling you, I've known Andrew for many years. He's got a great reputation. He works with General Flynn, Clay Clark, the Reawaken America events that we've done over the years. And, and it just the reputation you developed over the years, Andrew, is truly awesome. And, so Andrew, like when he's saying these things, like there's nothing that I can argue about because we're both on the same page. We're completely in agreement on what's coming. And I specifically, been studying the charts for years, studying precious metals for years. And everything that Andrew's saying is completely correct. The ratio right now, I think, is the funniest thing in the world. And it's sad that they're able to manipulate it to 70-1. See, that's the crazy part, Andrew. They're not supposed to be able to do this, okay? Like silver should never be at a ratio, like you said, 100-1. That's insanity. Even 71 is crazy, okay? So the fact that they can create money out of thin air to create these ratios, that's the concern everybody should have. If they have the ability to make money out of thin air, which is what they do, right? And then they create digital contracts, and they can now manipulate the prices downwards. All their agenda is to keep silver low in value. Why? Because silver is the money of people, and they don't want the people to be financially positioned. Very important. Example, same thing with cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin's been running. Most people right now, can't go and buy even one Bitcoin. That's like $65,000 for a single Bitcoin. Okay. So that's a big problem for people to now get involved in the Bitcoin game. On the other side of it, when you look at some of these alternate coins, many of them are under a penny, some of them around $1. So many could get into that game. So what did they do last time for the past many years? They've held the price down on the alternate coins. Why? Because most of the population holds silver and the alternative coins and not Bitcoin. And so what I'm trying to say is the agenda of the globalists that run the financial system are to keep these asset classes low, because as long as they stay low, the people don't have finance to do what they want to do. And so therefore they're subject to the system. And so what's coming is financial freedom. What does that mean? Well, God's going to cause the precious metals to explode in price, particularly silver. Silver is going to become gold on steroids. Gold's going to go fantastic. There is nothing wrong with holding gold. And like Andrew said, when gold goes, Andrew's always said, if you like gold, you buy silver. That's Andrew's saying for over these years. And he's 100% right, because when gold goes, silver is going to when gold goes, silver is going to do just one thing. It's going to outperform it. It's just going to be gold on steroids, because why? It's going to have to narrow that ratio down from 70 to 60 to 50 to 40 to 30. So as it's doing that, it's just accelerating quicker in price relative to gold. So gold's going awesome. But understand, we're about to step into the golden age. Trump already stated the golden age when he got elected, in his inauguration. That's going to happen. We're going to head into a monetary system backed by gold, because Nixon took us off the gold standard. And I always laugh at the Nixon speech, because you know what the key word was? We're just going to go off the gold standard temporarily. That's what he said. I heard the video 100 times. And so the point is, the system is not there for you. The system is there. It's against you. And so why Andrew and I do these podcasts is to educate the viewers, you listening, that silver, Haggai 2:8, the silver is mine, the gold is mine, saith the Lord. God is going to move. If you've listened to my podcast, and if you truly believe in your heart that God's about to do something, many people can't afford to buy silver and gold. I get it, okay? But the wealth transfer is going to be coming in so big that don't worry about it. But those that are and have finances, and you don't understand what's coming, you're going to be subject to the consequences of what's about to happen. And when you go back and look at the events of 1929, okay, that crash happened in October, okay? Point is, we're heading into the fall season here. And so if you position yourself like the globalists did, they knew. The people on the inside, Andrew, they all knew the crash of 1929 was coming. They orchestrated it. They knew. They positioned themselves in the summertime for what was coming in the fall. So what I'm saying here is, If you understand what's coming in the fall, because this is not a guess, God has spoken, a financial makeover is coming in the fall.
The winds of change have come. Changing of the guard is apparent. An economic makeover. And hands who have dug into the coffers and into the treasure chests of deception, their hands taken out, so that my people who conduct their affairs with justice will be blessed, signifying the opening of a door that has been locked for such a time as this. Pandemonium in the White House, in the higher regions, and below the earth, in Italy and in Rome. All of this uncovered but unspoken of. Look to the fall.
So if you know it's coming, position yourself in the summer like they did in 1929, and when the events go down this fall time, you're going to be dancing. You know, God's actually said you can be dancing in the streets like you've never imagined before, because it is coming. Nobody can stop it. But on the other side of it, have you positioned yourself? That's a great question people need to ask themselves and their family. And with all of the, these things said, talk about, because I know we've talked about precious metals, but also from the precious metals perspective, when on the financial side, most people have 401ks, IRAs. Andrew's got a system of like analyzing these things, but actually doing something very quickly to move these assets for people. So maybe you expand upon that, Andrew, how it works and the advantages.
For years and years, we've been offering the precious metals IRA. That's where we can take an existing 401k or IRA that you might have somewhere else and roll that over into a precious metals IRA that holds real physical gold and silver. We've helped thousands of people set these up. But back in the day, we would email people the application to fill out. We would pre-fill out as much of it as we can. And then you would have to fill it out, sign it, send it back to us, and then we submit it to the IRA custodian. And this process could take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get a retirement account open. And people would get frustrated. And I worked with Equity Trust, which is the IRA custodian that we use for precious metals IRAs. And we created an onboarding program. And we're the only company in all of the United States that they do that with. So what happens is that I have a calendar that we share with Equity Trust, and we schedule an onboarding call. And what ends up happening is it's a phone call where you speak with Equity Trust after you've already decided to move forward, and they actually help you get your account open on that single phone call. By the time the call ends, you have an account number. Not only that, Equity Trust will at that point contact your existing IRA custodian. It can be Schwab, Fidelity, or any 401k company, and they will make an arrangement with that custodian for the transfer of your funds with your blessing. And this process can take less than a week sometimes. And for people that already have precious metals IRAs, like I had a client yesterday that wanted to add $50,000 to her IRA. And it was a simple funding call. I scheduled that call for today. That call already happened. She provided the information. The funds are already on their way. And this makes a really quick process. And people really like that, because the way that gold and silver are moving, how quickly they can move now, it's really important that you get the transfer done as quickly as possible. So we take care of all this for you. Some people out there, if you're retired and you take distributions every year, they call it an RMD. If you're taking RMDs, we can take care of that for you. You don't have to worry about sending us forms. We take care of all that for you. And I looked at the silver and gold pricing for today. Gold's actually, it just popped to $4,510 an ounce. So gold's up $173 an ounce today. This is great news. Here's why. Gold started the year at $4,332 an ounce. That's in January 4th of 2026, which is the first trading day of this year. That means that today's big day puts gold back into the green for the year. Gold is now up for 2026. Silver is $5 away from being where it started off the year, but silver is getting there. So when I'm talking about the streamlining process that we have at Equity Trust and the onboarding and talking about how quickly gold and silver can move, September is coming. We're going to see big moves in gold and silver. Time is of the essence. So I hope that many people reach out to us as soon as possible, because you want to get in before the herd comes. And we've said this before, the herd is coming. It's better to position yourself now than when everybody out there under the sun is really trying to get silver.
I also want to add, what Andrew's saying, just explain one step deeper. What Andrew's saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, but people, they have 401ks, they have IRAs, they go to work, they log into their accounts and they see a value of that 401k, a value of that IRA, correct, Andrew? So they can log
Yes.
it, they might get a monthly statement, they'll see values of what that account is worth. So what Andrew's saying is you can take 10%, 20%, 50%, whatever you want, and you transfer it, and now you haven't lost value. You've transferred some of those digits, and you've converted those digits into something real, gold and silver. Okay, so now your digits represent a hard asset, right? They're not just representing a number on a screen or a number on a piece of paper. These numbers on a piece of paper that you're looking at become tied directly to this heavy stuff, gold and silver, which sits in a depository, correct, Andrew? So that's how it works?
Yes, it sits in a depository, and that's how it's not counted as a distribution. If it was a distribution, then that would be a taxable event, and that really kills the whole idea of what makes an IRA work. The point is that you're saving a little bit each year that you're contributing into an IRA to be tax deferred to a point when you're probably not working anymore, and therefore you're making a lot less every year. So when you have to file a tax return, that your tax consequences are the smallest that you've probably seen in your whole life. So this is really great because it can grow while it's sitting there. Some people transfer their entire retirement account into a precious metals IRA. Some are a little bit cautiously optimistic. They'll start with $50,000 or $100,000 and then they add to it later. But it really is a great process. You don't have to do all of it. You can do a portion of it. Most people do add to it later. And it's just it's real physical gold and silver that is held at a third-party depository. It's not held at our office. It's held at a depository, and it's safe there. It's insured. It's where the bulk of our inventory is stored at as well. So it's by doing a precious metals IRA, you're not creating a taxable event.
I'll finish here. We've talked about precious metals over the years. Many people have listened to us. Majority of those have listened to us were buying precious metals in the 20s and $30. Those who all did that, or at least double to threefold in the money in the position right now of what they put down initially. When silver does go 3 digits plus, everybody is going to be celebrating, and that's coming. But what I want to say here is, if you've listened to my podcasts, America went down, particularly with Roe v. Wade, because it's always been about the children. Whether you want to believe this or not, this is truly important to listen to. Roe v. Wade was overturned on June 22nd, 2022. That date was written in scripture on Haggai 1. Why I'm saying this is because 50 months from that event ends this August 24, 2026. I'm just telling you, today's the 19th. August 24th of 2026 is coming, and I believe that's going to be a starting point for what we're about to see in precious metals begin to move. And then they're going to keep accelerating as we head into September. So we're at a very interesting time point, because the 51st month technically begins August 24, 2026. And that next month takes us into September 24, 2026. So that month is very interesting, because in the middle of that is even Rosh Hashanah, which is the head of the year, the start of the year. So I'm just saying, those listening, if you've got finances, listen to what we said today. Go back and listen to this entire podcast. We're at a very important crux in the road, a very important time point. Summer's ending here in September, but most importantly, September is coming. And every bull market that I've ever studied in history, they all make summer doldrums. We're in it right now, boring summer. And then when September, or as August ends and we head into September, it gets exciting and fireworks begin. So I want to thank everybody for listening in, for being here. I want to thank Andrew for being here as well, too. Andrew, close us out.
It's definitely not too late to get into this. Silver is available. When people send us a wire transfer to pay for silver, it's shipping within 48 hours. That's much quicker than a lot of the other firms out there. If you get in before the herd, you're going to get silver at a much lower premium. You're going to get it quicker, and you're going to get it at a better spot price. So reach out as soon as you possibly can.
And that actually, I want to even say, you'll get it. The problem is, in a bull market, it's precious. When silver explodes and the herd comes, the problem is getting your hands on some becomes extremely interesting and challenging. So God bless everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for being here. Have a wonderful weekend and have a fantastic summer. September is right around the corner. It's almost September.